free astrotheology course. How do I want this? So I'm back at a place I haven't been in a long time. Well, at least it feels like a long time. What's the best image? Maybe like this, okay. Feels like a long time. But anyway, here we are. So let's pick it back up with Jacob's prophecy, okay? Give me 1 second. So I was able to find a case, a holder for my other device. All right, so here we are, page. One moment, page 60. Okay, page 67. All right. So here we are. We're going to start at the bottom of page 65. It's just one line. In Genesis XLIX, Jacob blesses his sons, or rather, the priest of Isis do so bless. You know what? I read that wrong in the last video. I just realized that Jacob is the priest of Isis. Okay, Jacob blesses his sons, or rather, the priests of Isis do so bless. So Jacob is a priest of the moon. And describe the 12 signs of the Zodiac, for the Bible should not be taken literally, but allegorically and esoterically. Now, let's take a look at that. You see this memorialized in the public record in the New Testament itself. Okay, so here it is, Genesis chapter 4, verse 24. Y'all read that. So it's not Dr. Yasaka saying it. This is how it reads. Galatians 4, verse 24 out of the KJV. Which things are in allegory? For these are two covenants. He's talking about the old covenant and the new covenant. The one from Mount Sinai, which gendereth to bondage, which is Agar. Okay, so those are the two covenants. All right, so y'all, let's continue. So where are we? Page 65. And by the way, so what is this? What is this to say? This is our heritage. Our heritage written as allegorical stories. And these stories contain principles, laws of nature that have been remixed by editors, Jeremiah 8 verse 8, into historical stories, devils, gods, and demons, a remix, okay? How? Through the work of a literary tool called a magic wand, otherwise commonly known as a pen. Okay, Hollywood, the magic wand, the pen. Okay, that's the mechanism of Jesus' curse on you, where he said that he tells you parables so that although having eyes to see, you'll never perceive, although having ears to hear, you'll never understand. That's the mechanism. The Hollywood, the magic wand, the pen. In other words, the story. In other words, history. A history that he wrote. All right? Or it wrote, however you want to put it. Okay, y'all, so let's get into it. Page 66. Genesis XLIX, verse 3 and 4. Reuben art thou firstborn, so that's the astrological key word. My might, that's another key word. Beginning of my strength, that's a key expression. Okay? So this beginning is talking about either the beginning of the year, I'm sorry, not the beginning of the year, the beginning of the sun's ascension northward, which would be December 24th forward, or the beginning of the natural year. In modern astrology, that would be March 19, 20, 21, 22. According to our ancient ancestors, it's my opinion that the natural year began at the harvest. Okay, at the harvest. All right? Anyway, let's continue. The verse continues, unstable as water. So that's another astrological expression. Unstable water, this would be what? Melting ice or a raging river, huge waves, unstable water. Thou shalt not excel, because thou wentest up to thy father's bed. So what is this father's bed? Then defileth it thou. Is it a mythological story? Is it natural phenomena? What is it? We don't know. Let's keep reading. This verse, those key words, alludes to Aquarius, or the head of the man, the month of January, the beginning of the strength of the sun. The beginning of the strength of the sun. I just had a thought, I'm not going to share it though. I just realized something. Hold on, y'all. They served my lunch, but there's no napkins. Boy, oh boy, oh boy. Hold on. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. I'm thinking whether or not I should share the thought I had. Give me 1 moment. So I'm looking at the squared circle on page 64. Can I have a napkin, please? So I'm looking at this. So we see Aquarius, the beginning of the strength of the sun. But if you look, you draw a line from Aquarius, a straight, perfectly straight line. It's going to take you to Leo. It looks like Leo on this. It looks like Leo. Leo is the month where the sun is at its most intense. Thank you. Where the sun has its most, the heat of the sun is felt most intensely on Earth. I should do a food review video. They served me cold fries. Anyway, never mind. Let's just keep going. You know, sometimes I don't know if I should take things personally. I try not to take things personally. But sometimes you go places in Southeast Asia and you can tell it's personal. I've noticed the people here, they won't they won't do something to your face, it's behind your back. Always behind your back, right? Or they'll try to hide it. Do something, wrong you in some way, but they'll wrong you with a smile. Okay, unless they feel really emboldened because they done turned everybody against you, or everybody feels the same way, then they'll do it, not directly, but you can see the anger in their face. And they hate you for nothing. You know, hate you for nothing. Or it might be some jealousy that they see in you, or something about you that makes them jealous. But that's universal. You know, that psychology is universal. Or it could be just a stereotype of what they have learned by watching TV and Hollywood movies. They have a certain perception of us. And then when they see us, they don't like us, or because we don't meet that stereotype, they feel some anger. But it's nothing like what y'all experience where you're at right now in North America. There's nothing to compare to that kind of hatred. And it's just, it doesn't compare. Here, people might just want to, you know, the jealousy, they just might want to mess your day up, make you lose your job. But it's not I mean, that's hateful, extremely hateful, but it's not anything close to what I used to experience in North America, or at North America. Not even close. Okay, y'all, anyway, I kind of got off track, but let's get back on track. All right. So, the month of January, the beginning of the strength of the SUN sun, also the January thaw, quote unquote, unstable water, running in rivulets, defiling the pure snow. Okay, so if it's water that's thawing out, maybe that water is dirty. It has maybe a decomposing vegetation, etc. So the snow is white. So this water that may be brown or anything but clear discolors and melts the white snow, defiling the pure snow, dropping soot, sand, you know, whatever type of deposits may be in the water, depositing in the snow and making the snow look dirty. Or, like when we were kids, you pee in the snow. You know, pee in little boys, they pee an angel. Or sheets of the SUN sun's wintry bed. Y'all got that? Sheets of the SUN sun's wintry bed. That's the sheets is the white snow that covers the surface of the ground. Or repose of the Father. So there you have it. There you have it, the part about because thou wentest up to thy father's bed. The bed, the sheets of snow are on the ground. There's the bed, according to this author. Okay, so Reuben is Aquarius. Reuben is Aquarius. Verse 5, Simeon and Levi are brothers. So anytime you hear brother, two people who have an obligation, a duty, a responsibility, or two beings that have a responsibility to one another, you should think Gemini always, okay? So verse 5 again, this signifies Gemini, the twins. Verse 9, Judah. Judah is a lion's whip. Signifies Leo. Well, that's obvious, right? Verse 13, Zebulun shall be for an haven of ships. So ships is a key word for Libra. For Libra, the ship sign, the ark A-R-C, or the ark, A-R-K, as in Noah's Ark. Okay, the ship. Verse 14, quote unquote, Iskasar is a strong ass. So when I think ass, I think donkey, horse, something like that. Couching between two burdens. It's the end of the quote. Now, according to the author, Iskasar is Taurus, the bull, ox, or heifer, the beast used in many Eastern countries for working purposes. Now, an ass is not a bull. You know what? Let me Google search it. Give me a second. Maybe there's a nuance that I don't know about. Give me 1 second. So let's Google search ass. Oh no, hold on, y'all. I gotta wait for the guy to come up here to get set up on the Wi-Fi. Give me 1 second. So let me just wait for the attendant to come up here and set up the Wi-Fi. Give me 1 second, y'all. We'll look it up later. But anyway, this is something we need to research further. This is something we need to research further. Iskasar is a strong ass. As far as I know, an ass is a donkey. Sometimes it can be rendered as a horse. But maybe it has something to do with hooves, or animals that have hooves, etc. You know, we will see. That comes to my mind. But let's check it out, okay? Maybe the author is correct, maybe he's not correct. We shall see. Verse 16. Also, you can look up ass in some lexicon and see what you come up with, okay? You can also look it up in terms of how were asses presented or represented in mythology. Okay, so we need to check all the linguistics, the astronomy, astrology, and then also, of course, the history, mythology. What's the Wi-Fi? Can you put the Wi-Fi here, please? Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thanks. I think I'm going to start staying home and live streaming because I'm dissatisfied. But thanks, appreciate it. But sometimes I enjoy getting out of the house, you know. All right, so let's continue. Verse 16. Dan shall judge his people as one tribe, as one of the tribes of Israel. Again, Dan shall judge his people as one of the tribes of Israel, i.e., Dan shall be one of the fixed signs. Verse 17. Dan shall be a serpent by the way, an adder in the path, that biteth the horse heels, so that his rider shall fall backward. End quote. This is Scorpio, the scorpion or serpent, and alludes to that constellation which is placed next to the centaur or armed horseman, which is Sagittarius, which falleth backward into the winter solstice of Capricorn. Okay, y'all? Verse 19, quote unquote, Gad. Gad is a play on the word dag, or fish, or the fish sign, which is Pisces, dag, fish. A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last. A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at last. Okay, so this is Pisces. Pisces is the fish sign from February 22nd to March 22nd, when the SUN sun overcomes the winter and crosses the line and enters Aries. Jamie Hoods writes, Zion Law School. What's your comment? That New Testament stuff is pretty cool. Okay. All right, cool. Oh, man. Hey, Jamie, can you hear music? Do you hear music? Okay, Jamie writes, I don't know about the star signs. Yeah, well, that's why I'm presenting this information. It's for you to, not you, but everyone to have the information, something to think about. Something to think about, the facts, the evidence, etc., and you come to your own conclusions. The weakness of this book, by the way, our course textbook is the Astrology of the Old Testament, or the Lost Word Regained. The weakness of this book is that it doesn't have enough etymology. That's the weakness of this book. With the etymology, you and people like you couldn't say what you said in the comments because the etymology would be there, right? So it becomes a matter of whether or not you accept the etymology and the philology. But since he gives us philology and history, but he is short on the etymology. The etymology is the strongest evidence, in my opinion. All right? But anyway, let's keep going, y'all. So Dan is Scorpio, the scorpion or serpent, and alludes to that constellation which is placed next to the centaur or armed horseman. So that's Sagittarius, half man, half horse, or half ass, half man, however you want to look at it. Okay? Which falleth backward into the winter solstice or Capricorn. Verse 19, quote unquote, Gad is a play on the word dag. Of course, dag is fish. That's Pisces, right, y'all? From February 22nd to March 22nd, the sun overcomes the winter and crosses or passes over, right? Passes over the equinoctial line on March 22nd. Passes over. The Jewish Passover, the Christian Easter. Okay? Verse 20, quote, Asher, his bread shall be fat. So whenever you hear bread, you should think Virgo, because Virgo has that stalk of wheat in her hand. You make bread from wheat, also cornbread. Okay, y'all? And he shall yield royal dainties. That's Asher. This sign, Virgo, the bread giver. Okay, we're on page 67 now. Verse 21. Naphtali is a hind let loose. Naphtali is a hind let loose. So hind is a key word here. Key zodiacal word here. He giveth goodly words. Is Capricorn. So Naphtali is Capricorn. The goat or December sign. Y'all remember Capricorn is the stronghold of Saturn. So you can associate Naphtali with Capricorn, with Saturn, okay? Which is a renewer of life. The sun dies on December 22nd and then is resurrected, or a new sun is born on December 25. Everybody see that? Okay? So the goat sign, Capricorn, is the goat sign or December sign, which is the renewer of life or a promise of good to come. Hence, Naphtali is a hind let loose, the giver of goodly word. What's the goodly words? Resurrection. Forgiveness of your sins, right? Saturn is a stronghold of Capricorn. Saturn is the cause, is the source of all ills. ILLS, all ills. Okay? And you get forgiven for those sins when the Son is resurrected, as long as you what? Believe on Christ, as it were. Clear? All right. Let's continue. Hold on, y'all. I'm double jointed. All right. Where are we? Oh, verse 17. Verse 27, y'all. Verse 27. Quote, unquote. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf. In the morning he shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoils. End quote. The sign Aries in March, which merges into April. The warm days devour or melt the snows or prey of the sun. Okay, the snow is the prey of the sun because the snow melts the sun. Okay? And he divides the spoil, being the vernal equinox. So the spoil is the vernal equinox, 12 hours of day, 12 hours of night. So Aries divides not only the number of daylight hours into equal portions, but Aries is also one of the divisions of the kingdom of heaven and of hell. Right? Remember, the kingdom of heaven is the vernal, the kingdom of heaven is above all those zodiac signs that are above the celestial equator, right? The royal arc, the arc of heaven, y'all see? So Aries, above Aries and above Libra, that's the kingdom of heaven. Below Aries and below Libra, that's hell. So that's another division that Aries is involved in. Okay, now let's continue. That's also a division of the spoil. Being the vernal equinox, that is the division, right? Or divides between spring and winter. That's another division. Aries divides between spring and winter. Okay, Aries also divides between what? The covenants. Boaz and Yachin. The covenant of work and the covenant of labor. Okay, the rightful heir versus the hybrid who has no inheritance. That's also a division. So that's Genesis chapter 1, mankind, the Han Uman created creature. The research was done at the Pyramid University in the Yucatan, and the actual work itself to produce the output, I believe that was done in Argentina. Anyway, one day I might, if I get time, I'm going to present that story out of the book that we have it preserved in. Okay, y'all. Now, where are we? Joseph, who remains in Egypt and has nothing to do with the Israelites, gives to his two sons the injunction to go with them. And Ephraim and Manasseh have a portion divided between them. Viz, or meaning the double sign Cancer. Okay, y'all see, so Cancer looks like a 6 on the side and then a 6 on the bottom. We're on page 67. The double sign Cancer. Y'all see it? Okay, now let's continue. So, in order of placing the signs we find, listen y'all, Aries is Benjamin, or the youngest son, or the last born son, S-O-N son, or the S-U-N son, in Aries. Taurus is Issachar. Gemini is Levi and Simeon. Cancer is Ephraim and Manasseh. Leo is Judah, right? Judah, the lion of the tribe of Judah. Leo. Virgo is Asher. Libra is Zebulun. Scorpio is Dan. Sagittarius is Joseph. Capricorn is Naphtali. Aquarius is Reuben. Pisces is Gad. Isn't that interesting? Pisces is Gad. You can replace the vowel with, you can replace the A with any other vowel. You get Gad, God, Gid, Gud, etc. Okay? And that becomes important. I got this out of the Devil's Pulpit. If y'all want to learn more about that, you'll see the significance of it. Just the link to the Devil's Pulpit is in the description area of this video. In the Oedipus, Judicus, quote unquote, Sir W. Drummond agrees with me that Aquarius is signified by Reuben. Okay, so there's a scholar who agrees with him. And calls the sign Pisces the brethren of Simeon and Levi. Okay? All right. Hold on, give me 1 second here. I'm distracted. These people are playing music next to me. I lost my thought. Give me 1 second. I have to come back to it, y'all. Anyway, next sentence reads, in which I do not concur, the sign being rightly Gemini. Oh, okay, I see what he's saying. I see what he's saying. He's saying that hold on, y'all. Sir W. Drummond agrees with me that Aquarius is signified by Reuben and calls the sign Pisces the brethren, Simeon and Levi. So according to this author, that doesn't make sense at all to me. So I don't know something, or he knows something I don't know. So this Sir W. Drummond is saying that Simeon and Levi are Pisces. The author is saying, I don't agree. The sign rightly being Gemini. So the author is saying Simeon and Levi, that's Gemini, for the reason he gave as we read earlier. Okay? So Sir W. Drummond agrees with the author that Leo was represented by Judah. Well, obviously, who can disagree with that, right? That's just in your face, the lion. He makes Capricorn, or this W. Drummond makes Capricorn to be represented by Zebulun. The practice of astrology, however, never deviates from Libra, the navel sign, and equatorial division, or the sun seeking rest or setting in the waters. And this I have verified many hundreds of times by nativities and horary questions. The horary questions are yes/no questions, if my memory serves me correctly. Again, he makes Issachar to represent Cancer. I'm going to come back to that, y'all, and I'm going to read you the definition of horary questions. Okay, so he makes Issachar Cancer. What analogy the crab can have to bearing burdens, I cannot conceive. But again, the crab, what we call Cancer now, was not always represented by a crab. And I don't remember exactly what it was represented by. And it may have been two I don't remember. But I don't know if it's if this is discussed in the Zodiac and the Gospels, or if it's in the Devil's Pulpit. It's in one of those books, okay? So it was not always represented by a crab. What analogy the crab can have to bearing burdens, I cannot conceive. Now I can see an analogy, let's say breast, the woman's breast, so therefore the woman would bear a burden. Let's say the child, her heirs are born into the curses. I can see some burden associated with that, but we just need to do further research. We need to do further research. Okay, so let's continue. Astrological practice gives the sign of the bull or ox as a sign ruled by Issachar. Okay, so the bull or ox as a sign ruled by Issachar. Let me go back to check if he made a typo, or if, okay, so yeah, Issachar, that's, okay. Issachar is a strong ass. So it's not a typo, it's, okay. He makes Dan correctly to represent Scorpio, which is a fixed sign. And its emblem, the eagle, as the banner or standard of Dan. Let me make a note of that. Okay, Gad, he places, this is this Sir W. Drummond. Dan he places as representing Aries, Gad, G-A-D. He places as representing Aries, quote unquote. Gad, a troop shall overcome him. A troop must be a double-bodied sign. And for this reason, I have given for Gad representing Pisces, a school of fish, or a trope, or a congregation of many, and winter being overcome by March, which produces slush likened to fish spawn. Okay, y'all know what slush look like if y'all come from cold areas. Now I can see how that looks like fish spawn. I can see that. Or menstrual for spring or birth of the year. So I want to come back to this, the fish spawn. Hold on. We'll get a picture of it. Okay, we'll look it up on Google and find a picture. All right, so, or menstrual for the spring or birth of the year. So the melting ice is the menstrual, okay? And as Saturn, which was the oldest of the planets, so considered, and the deity of ancient Israel, y'all hear that? Saturn was the deity of ancient Israel. Y'all hear that? For example, the Jewish people, they wear the, what is it called? Is it the Hanukkah or something, the little circle cap? That's representing honor. Actually, they are wearing that in submission to as a public display of submission to the Catholic Church, because the Pope and the cardinals and bishops, they also wear that Hanukkah. I think, is it? I don't remember what it's called, y'all. It's been so long. But y'all know what I'm talking about. A little beanie, something like that. A little beanie. Maybe it's called a beanie. I don't remember. But it is, the Catholics are wearing it as representative of the rings of Saturn, Saturn's rings. Okay, so it's purely astrological. Okay, purely astrological, remixed, repackaged, and presented to the public as religion. Okay? As religion. So let's continue. Okay, so I'm going to go back to, and as Saturn, which was the oldest of the planets, so considered, and the deity of ancient Israel. And Saturn ruled over winter. Saturn is a stronghold of Capricorn, right? Pisces must be the sign which is amply proved by astrological reading as it signifies multiplicity. Okay, for example, a school of fish, multiple fish, two fish, okay? Connected by a band. Moreover, it is the sign of the feet and toes, which are many, and our common or vulgar saying of quote unquote gadding about or idly walking comes from this old astrological sign of Gad. All right, y'all. So next time y'all use the expression gadding about, well, it has its origin in astrology, referencing Pisces, school of fish. Okay? He also says, that's this W. Drummond also says, in a note that, quote unquote, at the period when the text was written, Aries occupied the place now held by Pisces. All right, that's due to what? Procession of the equinoxes. In other words, spring was beginning in Aries. It was a zodiacal age, Aries, as I discussed in the video before this one. Okay? But y'all, I also notice some people have very low standards, extremely low standards. And these people they're a burden to be around, especially to have to deal with in terms of a transaction like buying and selling or working with them. Y'all would be shocked at how lazy, extremely lazy some people are in Southeast Asia. I've never seen lazy at the level of lazy that I've seen here. And I'm not exaggerating. Not exaggerating at all. Okay, y'all, let's continue. So Sir W. Drummond continues. Asher, he writes, was Libra or the scales, the balanced scales. Quote unquote, out of Asher, his bread shall be fat. Evidently, a scale or balance has but little to do with bread. But Virgo, or the Virgin, with her sheaf of wheat, has, in astrology, Virgo signifies a place where corn and food are stored, also a restaurant, orchard, garden, etc. Therefore, Virgo properly belongs to Asher. I agree with him 100%. I agree with the author. Many other reasons can be deduced by astrological practice, which, when we come to the practical part of astrology, we will be sufficient, I'm sorry, let me repeat that. When we come to the practical part of astrology, in other words, he's going to deal with the mechanics, how it works, as we continue, or different chapters of the book, okay? So when we come to the practical part of astrology, we'll be sufficiently explained, okay? He's going to give us the mechanics. Let us look under the hood, so to speak. Our object being to present the esoterical definitions previous to the practical meanings of the science. I'm sorry, previous to the practical meanings of the signs, and to show that the Bible is the best textbook on astrology in existence. Did y'all hear that? Now, I don't know about y'all, but I want them to prove it. I want to see this. I want to see it. Because this is a game changer if it's in fact true. Right? If it is in fact true, it's a game changer. Again, in Deuteronomy XXX, I, verse 24 through 25, that's verse 33. Can't make this stuff up. 2 and 4, 24, 2 and 4 is 6, 2 and 5 is 7, 6. So verse 33, then 6 and 7. 7 is universal harmony, etc. We went over that 2-3 classes ago. Also in the course where I did the Zodiac and the Gospels. Universal harmony, right? Balance, everything like that. In other words, harm somebody and justice will be served to you. That's one way of looking at it. Universal harmony, right? The Hermetic Law of cause and effect. Well, all of those laws, they have to be in balance. Okay? And then, of course, 33. 3 and 3 is 6. And we can go on and on and on about the number 3 and the number 6. Okay? The first perfect number, etc., y'all. Anyway, let's continue. But remember, this author told us that there are only 3 degrees in Masonry. The other 30, the Catholic Church made up. Y'all remember that? Well, later on, I'll try to find it in short. Okay? Yeah. The other 30, the Catholic Church made up. Why? To focus attention. Remember, whatever you focus your attention on will manifest in your life, right? To focus attention, therefore empower, harness, and direct cosmic energy on what? Worship of Virgo, worship of the Virgin Mary and her son, which have been anthropomorphized or personified into real historical people. So that's where they get the energy and the juice to power Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. That's where they get the power to do it. Okay, y'all? Let's continue. You can't make this stuff up. Quote unquote, let Asher be blessed with children. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Thy shoes shall be iron and brass. Hold on, y'all. I just want to make sure I remember who Asher is. So Asher, again, is, guess who Asher is, y'all? Virgo. According to this author, Asher is Virgo. Give me 1 second. I want to write that down. So I'm writing down things that I want to do follow-up research on, y'all. Let Asher be blessed with children. Okay, let the Virgin Mary be blessed with children. Let Virgo be blessed with a celestial child. And I'm wondering if now I'm just thinking out loud, these children would also be what? Members of the Christian religion. Let him be acceptable to his brethren, and let him dip his foot in oil. Thy shoes shall be iron and brass. Well, if you got on iron and brass shoes, what's going to happen if you step on somebody? If you kick somebody? If you squash something? Your shoes are iron and brass. I'm just thinking out loud. But let's and why? Because we know that that's what these religions have done. All right? They're like wearing iron and brass shoes, smashing, crushing, exterminating everything in their path. Of course, their path would be their walking. Okay? So now let's continue. Page 69. Page 69. Multiples of 3, a 9 is a 6 upside down. Okay? Plainly alluding to the constellation Virgo, the celestial virgin blessed with children, or the earthly bringing forth of its fruit. Okay, the harvest, right? The fructification occurs in Leo. And then the fruit, the wheat, the barley are mature to be harvested in August, and then the grapes in September. Last day of the grape harvest is September 29. After that, you get vinegar. Before September 9, you get sweet grape juice, okay? All right. So, or the earth bringing forth its fruit, and to Virgo, or the virgin, whose feet touch the scales or balance, or Libra, right? The scales are the balance scales, that's Libra. Virgo's feet are touching Libra. Which scales were made either of iron or brass? Okay, so now if in fact they're looking at this at the point where Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio were all one constellation called Virgo Scorpio, and Virgo's feet are touching the two scales, okay, I understand that. That's okay. But if they're looking at this from when Virgo was, well, when the 10 signs were, well, when Virgo, Scorpio were separated into Virgo, Libra, and Scorpio, well, then I would disagree. Okay? But anyway, it doesn't matter what I think, right? What matters is the conclusions you come up with and the reasons why. So let's continue. Quote unquote, dip his foot in oil alludes to the oily, glistening surface of the sea or water at sundown. When the 30 degrees of Virgo, i.e. the feet, meet Libra or Zebulun, the haven for ships. Okay, well that makes sense. Or the due west point of the equinox. Well, that makes sense to me. That makes sense to me. Naphtali he renders as Virgo. Naphtali is rendered as, quote unquote, a hind let loose. He giveth goodly words. And Sir W. Drummond says, quote unquote, a tree was the standard of Naphtali. Herein my teachings and studies differ widely. Naphtali is an earthly sign, and as the tree signifies, but not the earthly sign Virgo, but the earthly sign Capricorn. The capering goat, Capricorn, the capering goat or hind let loose. Capricorn signifies trees, a wilderness, woods, dark places, sepulchres, etc. A place where cattle and goat feed, stables, manure, heaps, and the winter solstice. Also, the place where the New Year's Day commences, or the Escheat sun rises from the darkness of winter, giving promise for renewed life, and signifies in the Hebrew language, in the ancient Ibaryath, in the Canaanite Phoenician or the Phoenician Canaanite language, the renewer of life. In this sign, in Capricorn, the quote-unquote evergreen tree is all that is left to show life in nature. Herein are the godly words, and here is the tree represented by no other sign. All right? Y'all know the evergreen tree for Christmas? Well, that's why they're using it. Okay? That's why they're using it. Okay, it's the only tree that shows signs of life that is thriving in the wintertime. Okay, so you can correlate that with the Bible verse about Christmas, about a Christmas tree rather. So let's continue. Herein are the quote-unquote goodly words. And here is the tree represented by no other sign. Again, the natural gas described in Maccabees and the quote-unquote stinking water, okay, which is petroleum, found in the holes in the ground where the gas was extinguished, were named by Elisha, quote-unquote, naphtha for cleansing. Now, as petroleum is only found in districts where rock salt or the spirit of earthly things is found, it plainly shows it was the sign Capricorn. All right, so it plainly shows that it was a sign Capricorn, for Capricorn also means under the earth, rocks and boulders and minerals and dark and discolored things. And spirit is Prutrier or Petri or saltpeter. And so it is under the earth only we can find naphtha or naphtali. All right, y'all? So page 79. Joseph, page 70 rather, 70. You know what? I think I did all of this already. Did I go through it? I don't remember. Hold on, y'all. Did I cover this? Give me 1 second, y'all. I need a break. Give me one moment. Give me 1 second, y'all. No, I don't think I did this. Okay. Yeah, I'm good. I don't think I did this. I don't remember. My schedule is so full. If it's not right in front of me, I should have wrote a note. The problem is if I miss a day. If I miss a day or two of live streaming, then I tend to forget. But it doesn't matter because repetition is good. So here's the image we're going to deal with. But I think I dealt with this image already. Let me see. I remember going through this. Maybe it was on a different page. Hold on. Yeah, I did that already. A couple classes ago. So we're repeating. So here's that same image. Okay? The same image. Page 70. Joseph, his bow abode and strength. And Joseph is a fruitful bowl, even a fruitful bowl by a well, whose branches run over a wall. End quote. From thence is the shepherd the stone of Israel. From thence is the shepherd the stone of Israel. This in Oedipus Judaicus is rendered as Taurus. The bow of Joseph is simply the ecliptic, which cutting the equinoctial or equator at right angles at present, in other words, at present, at Aries and Libra. He's talking about at that time period, right? And two solstitial points, Cancer and Capricorn, divides it as thus. Hold on. Aries and Libra, Cancer, Capricorn. Here's the right angle, so the sun is passing over the celestial equator. Here's the equator. Okay, so this is the southern hemisphere. This is the northern hemisphere. Okay, so this is the vernal equinox. Aries is the vernal equinox. Libra is the fall or autumn equinox, and then here we are at Aries again. Okay, so this is the equinoctial line, and then here this is the solstitial line, and then the solstitial line here. So winter solstice, summer solstice. Okay, so imagine this as one circle. Okay, and then separate them, turn it. Okay, so now you get the ecliptic. This is the apparent path of the sun, this wave right here. All right. Okay, so thus we get the illustration we just looked at. Otherwise, it is the sign Sagittarius, as stated on page 67. Joseph became governor of Egypt, whose kings are Fa, R space A. In other words, Pharaoh right ascension. Whose kings are Fa, R space A, which is the sun, the S-U-N sun, and became the king's path. And became the king's path, or the ecliptic. Okay, y'all? Okay, coming straight out of Kemet. Aries is the shepherd or lamb sign. From Cancer, the midsummer, quote unquote, the archers, which are the rays of the sun, have sorely vexed him and shot at him and hated him. But his bow, that's arc, A-R-C, of the ecliptic abode and strength, the hot summer. Y'all see that? And the arms of his hands, this would be, and so in brackets we have Aries and Libra on the right and left. So Aries on the right, Libra on the left. And his hands, Aries was made strong. Libra was made strong by the God of Jacob, end quote. Viz, the ark, A-R-C, under the earth, which supports the ark overhead, one terminus being in Aries, the shepherd sign, and the other terminus being in Libra. And in the center is Capricorn, the stone. In the center is Capricorn. So here's one hand, here's the other hand. Here's in the center the stone. The stone, or Israel, or stronghold of Saturn. Or stronghold of Saturn. So Israel is the stronghold of Saturn, the source of all ills. Now you're wondering, well, now you have an answer why you're suffering. You have an answer why you're suffering now. Capricorn is the Saturn. The strong Capricorn is the stone, or Israel. And Saturn, who is Satan, is the stronghold of Capricorn, the source of all ills. Ruler of that sign, and originally considered by the Israelites as the god or Ancient of Days. Did y'all hear that? Saturn, originally considered by the Israelites as God or the Ancient of Days. Let me read it again. And in the center is Capricorn. Let me read it again for y'all. And in the center is Capricorn, or Israel, Isis, Ra, and El, Israel, or stronghold of Saturn. Ruler of that sign, Saturn is the ruler of Capricorn. Saturn is the ruler of Israel. And originally considered by the Israelites, originally that means first. That means before YHWH, before Yahoo, before all of that. And originally considered by the Israelites as the god or Ancient of Days. Why? Because Saturn is supposed to be the oldest planet. Huh? Or again, it holds up the earth. Capricorn holds up the earth. The Lord Saturn. Remember, the planets are said to be lords. The Lord of all ills is holding up the earth. The earth has been given into the hands of the wicked one. And Oedipus Judaicus says, Sir W. Drummond, quote unquote, I differ from Kircher and Dupuis concerning the ensign of Benjamin, which I suppose to have been the twins, Gemini. Herein I differ from all three, says this author, Carl Anderson. He doesn't agree with any of them. The description in Genesis XL, IX 27, that's Genesis chapter 69, verse 27, quote unquote. Benjamin shall raven as a wolf in the morning, or east, right? He shall devour the prey, and at night he shall divide the spoil. End quote. Is no other than the sign Aries, the first point of right ascension. Aries is the first point of right ascension. Okay. The youngest son of Benjamin, equivalent to the last sign into which the first point of right ascension of the sun had arrived, who was the youngest son of Rachel, and Rachel is Hebrew for sheep. So Rachel means sheep in Hebrew. Ah, okay. So again, so the author is saying this is no other sign. I'm going to read it again. No other sign than Aries, the first point of right ascension. R space A, right ascension. The youngest son of Benjamin, equivalent to the last sign into which the first point of right ascension of the Eschuan sun had arrived. So the last sign into it. Who was the youngest son of Rachel, and Rachel is in Hebrew she. So y'all might have to think about that one a little bit. I know I did. Ephraim and Manasseh are only left, and a portion shall be divided between them, viz., or meaning Cancer nursed by the others, or fed by them with the portion, and Cancer is the sign of the breast, nursing, and milk sign. Okay? So any type of distress, I'm going back, any type of distress that comes to a mother or her babies can be a burden, right? It can be a burden on her physically and emotionally. Herein, to show the antiquity of petroleum, in other words, petroleum is not something just recently discovered, and knowledge of the ancients and rediscoveries of lost matters, I will quote from Maccabee chapter 2. Hold on, y'all. Give me 1 second. trying to see where I left off. Okay, give me 1 second. One moment. I think I'm gonna I had to find a better place to live stream. I think I spend too much money and too much energy and time trying to find a good venue to live stream in. I think I might be better doing it at home. Let's see. But every now and then you get tired of eating out in restaurants, right, y'all? I think it's normal. One moment. Part of me kind of feels like I should go to another country, someplace where I've never been. I was considering going to Africa before the war started. Now I don't think I'm going to go. But I might go visit a week or two just to check it out. But I was thinking about going, well, we'll see. The thing is that Vietnam has such good food choices and restaurant choices, and the landscape, everything is so beautiful here. It's really paradise. The weather is not extreme at all. And the culture, for me, it wasn't hard to adjust to the culture at all. You know, I fit right in. But the more I have to deal with the people, the less I like it here. For me, as I travel, I don't really like to deal with people. For a variety of reasons. I'm not being negative, but there are some realities when you are a foreigner traveling. If you're not street smart, or if somebody catch you sleeping, it can be a terrible outcome for you. You gotta always be on your P's and Q's, always. No matter how pretty the smile, no matter how friendly they sound, no matter how well you know them or think you know them, everything is a transaction. And I know that from experience, not just mine, but from other people's experience. And people who they trusted, they thought they had strong relationships with, Did them dirty big time. All right. Sometimes it might be robbery. Who knows how that might end, you know? But it is what it is. But I like it in Vietnam. Out of all the places I've gone, Vietnam is the place I like most. The food, just everything. It's not dominated by corporations, mom and pop shops everywhere. You get fruit and vegetable on any corner, any time of the day. You go outside, you know, you're gonna find something. There's gonna be a market open, something. There's gonna be somebody out there selling something, you know. But I like that. And the rainy season is not extreme. When you go to Manila, you go to Philippines, Manila rainy season can be extreme, like a flash flood. Everything's cool, 5-10 minutes later, the whole place is flooded. And I'm not talking about a little flood, I'm talking about a big flood. Like you better find a safe place to go, or your house is flooded. Okay, y'all. I was in Mexico City and Yucatan. I didn't like Mexico City. Mexico City was like a big ghetto. There's nothing wrong with the hood. It's just I don't want to live in the hood, you know. But that's how it felt. It felt like a big ghetto. I didn't feel safe in Mexico City. So I moved to Yucatan. Yucatan felt like any suburb in North America. And I didn't like that because I'm past that in my life. I don't want to live in the suburbs. I want to live in a community that feels more like a village. You know, the suburbs, the people are really spaced out. All the stores are really spaced out. You know, you just can't go walk. And then there's 20 restaurants within 5 blocks or within 2 blocks. You got 20 restaurants, like here in Vietnam, in Ho Chi Minh City. You go outside, you can walk 2-3 blocks, restaurants everywhere. Everything you could imagine, everywhere. So it's a different feeling. And I didn't feel, in Yucatan, Mexico, I didn't feel any attachment. I didn't feel any attachment. And then when I was in Peru, man, I felt like they're all hybrids. Now, of course, I don't know that. I don't know what they are. But I just felt like they're all hybrids. You know what I mean? There was no connection. None whatsoever. But here in Southeast Asia, I feel a connection. Now there are, see, a lot of y'all might think Vietnam and you see like a Chinese person. It's not like that. It's not like that. There's a clear difference between a Chinese person and a Vietnamese person. Clear difference. But the way we're educated, at least the way I was educated in my time, all Asians, they group together. And you see one, you think they all look Chinese. But then, having lived in Asia, you can tell. Like right now, I can tell the difference in most cases between a Chinese, a Korean, usually definitely a Vietnamese, unless their ethnicity is from China. Right, unless they migrated, then it's more difficult to tell. Yeah, but I can tell, especially if you're talking about Philippines, Malaysia, Indonesia, India. I mean, that they're completely different. But in Vietnam, they've been conquered so many times by Chinese and the migration. You know, the Chinese coming here, so there are a lot of Chinese-looking people, a lot of people who have Chinese ancestry in Vietnam. But if you go to the provinces, you start seeing people who are brown like me and darker in Vietnam, and darker. The hair is different. That's the big difference actually. The hair is very different. Also, the complexion, the color of the skin is very different. The body type is very different. It's completely different. But anyway, I'm off on a different topic. Let's get back to it. But traveling, if you haven't traveled, y'all need to travel. I was telling y'all about this one cat. I don't remember his name, but this is when I was in college. He said that when he traveled, he only goes to the projects. He go from the projects, one project to the other. He doesn't go outside of the projects, no matter where he travels to. Can you imagine that? How narrow your mind is? If y'all are able, travel to another country, even if it's only for 2 days, 3 days. But then try to increase it so you can get the experience, because when you start to travel, you start to learn things about yourself that there's no way you can learn without traveling. You start to learn things about your own culture and education, your own way of living that you would never learn had you not traveled. It will change you for the better, for sure. Okay, it'll show you what life really is and how other people live. It'll show you that you're not the best, but you're not the worst too. In the end, you're gonna see with your own eyes that we're different, but we're all the same. And you being in Southeast Asia, you're gonna start to see that a lot of these Asian people, they got a lot of game. A lot of game. All right? And you will get got for sure now. For sure. I don't care how old you are. If you are not on your P's and Q's, you're gonna get got in Southeast Asia. If you think you're the only one who got game, or we the only people who got game, you are sadly mistaken. Let me tell you, you are sadly mistaken. You're going to go home broke, or you ain't going to be able to go home at all, and you're going to be too ashamed to tell what really happened. I got to go, y'all. My battery is low. Islam to all the Moors. Thanks for your support. We didn't cover much. But next class, I try to do better. All right, I'm tired right now. I want to go home, and my battery is low. Thanks for y'all's support, being on this live stream with me, supporting my work. Keep buying my books. That mean a lot to me, but it's also your education that's more important than that. Remember to subscribe to 101 Ancient Ibaryath, the streaming course. Do that now, and get your things together so that tomorrow, which is Saturday, every Saturday, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I teach 506 The Curses course. So y'all make sure that y'all set your alarm clock, get your things together so you can show up and be present in class. It ain't gonna cost you nothing to come and observe, okay? Islam, Assalamu alaikum, I, self-law, and master. I see y'all on the next one.